Hey guys, so if you couldn't already tell by the title of this video, today I'm going to be showing you how you can fly your drone in a lot more places legally. So what I see from a lot of drone owners, either they're going to buy a drone for the first time, or they're thinking about it, or whatever the case may be, or they see online that wherever they want to fly is within a 5-mile radius of an airport or a helipad or something like that, and they have the big red circle on the map, and they automatically assume that they cannot fly there. Now, that's not necessarily the case. You can actually fly within the 5-mile radius. You just cannot fly within a 1.5-mile radius. That's the general rule. So the main thing here is whenever you fly within that 5-mile radius of the airport, you have to contact the airport and notify them, and usually they'll have no problem whatsoever, especially if you're staying below the 400 feet, which you should do because that's the FAA guidelines. But the key here is to not give them a reason to not be okay with you flying your drone. So what you're going to need to do is notify the airport, usually the airport manager or someone else to that regard, and the airport tower if they have one, and notify them that you will be flying your drone. Now sometimes it's so easy that when you call them on the phone and you notify them, they'll say okay, and that's literally all that happens. It's like a 5-second phone call. But sometimes, and usually, they'll ask a lot more questions. Now they're not trying to trick you or anything, so if you don't know an answer, that's okay, but if you can't give them the information, they may not be too happy with that. So the key here is to sound and act and be a responsible drone pilot. So I use this application called AirMap, and from what I've seen, AirMap has been the best for me in the locations I've been. It hasn't missed anything. Some of the other things like the DJI map has missed a few things, but AirMap has done a good job and it gives me a whole bunch of information. So let's say I wanted to fly near the Nashville Zoo. It's probably not a good idea to fly over it. I don't know, I've never been there, but common sense sort of tells me that it's not a good idea. But let's say we're going to fly near the Nashville Zoo. Alright, so here I am. I'll tap on advisories, and so it brings up a whole list here. And so there's a couple that I'm really concerned about. The heliports, I'm not sure if I do need to contact them. That's something you're going to have to do your own research on. But I want to show you, in this example, the Nashville International Airport. So it gives me a phone number for it. Now, one thing I've noticed about AirMap is usually that's like the main phone number, and then I have to call that and get forwarded to the tower and all that. So let's see if I can get a different phone number online. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I googled Nashville International Airport information, and I can see down here I have a thing for AirNav. That's been such a super helpful website for me. It gives me everything, and it's pretty easy to use. So there's a couple of things we have here. You can see all this information. By the way, with regards to with the published instrument procedures, you can see some of that information here under this tab. So obviously a big airport like that does have them. And here we go. So we have some information here, and it gives me the phone number for the owner and the phone number for the manager. So you'd probably want to call the manager phone number. I don't see a tower number on here, so once you call that number and you get someone, then you would want to ask them to be transferred or give you the number for the tower, and then you'll contact the tower. So that's how that all works. So what information do you give them? Let's go over that now. So the information you're going to need to give the airport is, number 1, where you're going to be flying at. Number 2, how far above the ground you're going to be flying. Number 3, your heading or direction relative to the airport. And the last one, if you have registered your drone, you may just want to have it handy. I know they're not doing drone registrations right now at the time of this filming in the US, but it may be handy to have your UAS certificate number if they ask for it. It's not a big deal. Alright, so here for my example, I have the Nashville Zoo, and you can see on here I have the Nashville International Airport. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure the distance, and I can do that by right-clicking, and then I can set 2 points just like that, and it tells me how far away I am. So what they're going to ask for is not only the address usually, but how far away you are. So here we can see that we're about 4.31 miles away from the airport. So those are 2 things that they're going to ask for. You have that information right there. The final thing they're going to ask is how high you're going to be flying. I usually just tell them 400 feet. So the final thing is, once you have all this information written down, it's time to call the airport. The first thing I usually say to them is word for word, "Hi, I just want to inform the airport that I'm going to be flying within 5 miles." And then at that point, they'll usually say, "Okay," and then they'll start asking questions. And that's when you have all this information handy and you can just start answering some of those. They may ask some other questions like your home address for some reason, or some other stuff. Again, that's kind of stuff you should already know. You shouldn't have to do research for that. But if you don't know something, and I don't remember some of the questions they asked, or if it's worded a little bit weird, ask for clarification. Or if you don't know the answer, just say, "I don't know." Don't give them false information. Just be confident when you talk to them. Give them the information you have, and everything will work smoothly. This isn't an interrogation. In fact, they'll appreciate it that you're informing them and you're following guidelines. They'll really like that, and everything should work out just fine. So I hope this video helps. I hope you learned something. I hope you now feel a little more free if you didn't already know about this in regards to the places you can fly your drones, and I'll see you in the next video.